I want to hit the button. Can I hit the button?
Hit the button. Do it.
Backdoor Fable.
Okay. All right. So, Spanish Inquisition. Hate and torture-filled murder fest.
Yeah.
Fable.
Oh.
Real quick. So,
Dang it.
you start out with Isabella. Isabella de Castilla.
If you remember when we talked about Saida al-Hura 2 weeks ago, she's the one that kicked out Saida's family from Al-Andalus.
Yes.
Continuity
Yes.
between episodes. Good stuff.
So, they were, it was not just Isabella. It was also Fernando. They actually ruled as true co-monarchs.
Ferdinand, you mean?
I've always read it Fernando, but sure, Ferdinand.
Is it Ferdinand or?
I thought it was Fernando. In fact, the song started to go through my head. You know the one.
I don't know the one.
Ugh,
Now you're going to have to sing it.
that seems unlikely.
Now I'll never
I
know
actually
the song.
would. That's ABBA. Fernando. I don't know. I don't know the song well enough. Anyways, Fernando and Isabella.
Well, I take all of my
Oh, not that one.
I take all of my historical cues from ABBA songs, so you
Yes.
must be right.
Anyways, Isabella was in many ways a brilliant ruler. Okay. And not as bloodthirsty as many people believe. She came in and her older brother had run the country into near ruin. It was a crime-ridden cesspool, and she cleaned it up with the help of how did the name go? La Santa Hermandad, the Holy Brotherhood, a police force which cleaned up the country and kind of helped form the basis of the Inquisition. And then she further consolidated her power by making a deal with the Pope and said essentially, Spain will be all Catholic, but you let us name the priests and other church officials.
Oh.
Right? Allowing her essentially to handpick her own clergy and influence with the people, uniting them almost perfectly. She was a very, very devout person. Her older brother was going to marry her off to this old rich dude for his money, and she prayed that it wouldn't happen, and he died almost immediately.
Well done.
Yes, prayer as assassination. So she was way serious about it.
One of those thank you, God moments.
Anyway,
Wow.
so
Do you know Harriet Tubman did the same thing? She prayed for someone to die and they died and she was guilt-ridden for the rest of her life.
okay, our viewers at home, please do not take these two cases as evidence. Please do not pray for people to die. That's not really a thing.
At least don't pray for me to die because
Yes,
there are at least two instances of it working.
Anyways, moving on. So yes, she does force the Jews to convert or leave without their money. Right? Your money is still welcome here. But it was understood that many of them would just say so. Right? Sure, I'm Christian now. Why not? Yay, go Catholics! Or what are we cheering for? Go Pope! Right?
Right.
And so the Inquisition was started to make sure that they meant it, right? It was an investigating. It was an inquisition. Are you sure you're Catholic now? Right? And so it was a seeking out of the facts.
I don't like
but-
that story.
Worth noting, in spite of all the religious in spite of all the religious persecution and torture and executions, it was actually, and this is where it'll blow your mind, better than most of the rest of Europe. There was actually due process. Most people called in for an inquisition were notified a month in advance.
Oh.
The Spanish were some of the first ones to disallow confession by torture as evidence in a trial. They were among the first. And they needed actual evidence. Their execution rate was 2% or less, which compared to other pogroms and ethnic cleansing going on in most of those other feudal kingdoms, it was oddly advanced for its time. Bet you didn't see that Spanish Inquisition coming. Yeah, they actually.
I get it.
That they actually had some actual due process in there, and like I said, versus other witch hunts, if you want to call them that, most other witch hunts had much higher casualties and torture and everything. It was just more noticeable because it was state-sponsored and went on for hundreds of years.
You picked a really big fable. I've got like little fables of like, oh no, they wouldn't have taken monkeys on the ship with them. You're like, well, everything you know about the Spanish Inquisition is a lie.
Well,
Edgar Allan Poe lied to you. They didn't even know what a pendulum was.
well, it wasn't a lie, but it was lacking context. It's like, was it horrifying? Yes. Was it more horrifying than what, say, the British were doing to Catholics or the French were doing to gypsies? No. They at least had the process of law, which, even if that law is horrifying, is still better than just, shall we call it chaotic evil? If we were to, it's lawful evil versus chaotic evil.
Was it horrifying? Yes.
Of course
Did
it
they
was.
do their paperwork? Also, yes.
Yes, they did.
Makes me think.
Does that make it better?
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, it's lawful evil instead of chaotic evil. And one last thing about Isabella, because a lot of this stuff is often placed at her feet, she often went against this stuff. She was not in favor of doing the same thing to Muslims. Fernando did that. Oh. Okay. And when she sent off Christopher Columbus to go to India or whatever, and he came back with all these riches and slaves, she said, "What the are you doing? Set those people go. No slavery. What is wrong with you?" And set the slaves free and said, no slavery in Spanish control. And then again, Fernando,
Not really on board. Remember
Not-
the
not
mountain that
completely
eats
on board.
people from the beginning of the live stream?
yeah, more from Fernando. Isabella, for all her things, was not about that slavery and was horrified when Columbus came back with people. It's like, what are you doing?
I did not send you for people.
We sent you for cinnamon and you bring back people? Like, what?
I asked for spices.
How could you have misunderstood this any worse?
You messed up my order real bad.
Real bad.
Okay.